China just made its boldest move yet, confronting a U.S. Navy aircraft carrier in contested waters. This wasn't just a standoff. It might have been a warning shot. Here's exactly what happened and what it could mean for global peace. Tensions in the South China Sea have reached a boiling point. In a move that shocked the world, Chinese naval forces confronted and allegedly attacked a United States Navy aircraft carrier during a recent patrol. What caused this explosive escalation? Was it an intentional strike or a warning? In this video, we'll unpack the confrontation, what led up to it, the military tactics used, and what this means for US-China relations moving forward. This is not just about ships. This is about global power, strategy, and the potential spark of a major war. According to multiple defense sources, the incident occurred within contested waters in the South China Sea, roughly 120 nautical miles off the coast of the Spratly Islands. The U.S. Theodore Roosevelt, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, was conducting freedom of navigation operations when it was suddenly approached by a flotilla of Chinese warships. Chinese vessels, including a Type 055 guided missile destroyer and support ships, executed aggressive maneuvers, cutting across the carrier's bow and locking fire control radar on several U.S. aircraft. The U.S. Navy immediately elevated threat levels and deployed F/A-18 Super Hornets into the air. This confrontation didn't happen in a vacuum. It followed weeks of rising tension. The U.S. had recently increased its freedom of navigation patrols in the South China Sea. China, on the other hand, had conducted live-fire exercises and moved anti-ship missiles to artificial islands in the Spratlys. Just days before the incident, China accused the U.S. of violating its sovereignty and warned of serious consequences. This was a clash waiting to happen. Why would China risk war by threatening a U.S. carrier? Strategic messaging. Beijing wants to send a clear message. It is willing to defend what it claims as sovereign territory, even against the world's most powerful navy. Testing the limits. China may have calculated that the U.S. would not retaliate militarily, making this a test of American resolve. Domestic politics. Internally, the Chinese Communist Party faces economic challenges and dissent. A bold military move boosts nationalism. Any force that dares to provoke China's core interests will be met with iron and fire. The U.S. Navy responded swiftly, but cautiously. Combat air patrols, CAPs, were immediately launched. Nearby destroyers locked missile systems onto the Chinese ships. An emergency channel was opened to avoid miscalculation. The U.S. did not fire, but warned the Chinese vessels to back off. After a tense 45 minutes, the Chinese ships withdrew, but the damage was done. This was the closest call in years. The world watched closely. Japan and Australia condemned China's actions, calling them reckless and dangerous. The Philippines, already locked in a dispute with China over maritime territory, called for emergency meetings with its allies. The United Nations urged both sides to show restraint, while NATO quietly increased its monitoring of the Indo-Pacific. Experts now fear this could be the new normal, where near-miss incidents become more frequent. 3 scenarios now loom. Armed conflict. A future incident spirals out of control. Cold War at sea. Both powers increase presence, but avoid direct conflict. Diplomatic breakthrough. Quiet back-channel diplomacy de-escalates tensions. But with mistrust deepening, the first 2 options seem far more likely. This incident will likely accelerate the Pentagon's pivot to Asia. More rotational deployments to the Philippines. Faster development of missile systems in Japan and Guam. Strengthening of alliances with Australia, India, and ASEAN nations. The U.S. knows that aircraft carriers are powerful, but also vulnerable in the missile age. Expect more submarines, drone swarms, and anti-ship capabilities to enter the theater. A recent study conducted in the United States, the assessment from the Department of Defense, indicated that China possesses the largest navy in the world in terms of ship count, with over 370 vessels, which includes 2 aircraft carriers. Additionally, China aims to contest the naval supremacy of the United States both within the Indo-Pacific region and beyond. The naval fleet of the Chinese military has been sent to the region as a display of strength, This includes regular activities near the self-governing island of Taiwan, the deployment of aircraft carriers close to distant Japanese islands, and a rare month-long journey around Australia. Japan and Taiwan belong to the initial island chain that is aligned with the United States. Defense idea initially created in the time of the Cold War. The goal of this strategy is to restrict the military operations of China in the Western Pacific Ocean, as well as in the United States. Support for Australia through nuclear-powered submarines and long-range missiles is merely one method of its execution. A major issue for the U.S. The concern among military strategists about hypersonic weapons is the danger they present to the United States. Naval vessels. The defense systems currently used by the Navy are intended to intercept drones, target bombs, and engage both cruise and ballistic missiles. These defense systems might not work as well against hypersonic weapons, which are capable of flying at altitudes similar to aircraft and can change direction while heading toward their targets. Ships of every size, including aircraft carriers and destroyers, face risks from these systems. This raises the Navy's chances of experiencing losses in a conflict with China that would be unprecedented since World War II. A representative from the U.S. Pacific Fleets stated that the Navy possesses various capabilities to deter, defend against, and, if necessary, overcome aggression in order to address the threat posed by Chinese hypersonic missiles, although no specific details were shared. We are a skilled naval unit, prepared to react to any situation at any moment, regardless of whether the threat is directed at the U.S. or one of our allies and partners, the representative stated in a message to Task and Purpose. In addition, we are dedicating resources to enhance our essential mission capabilities. This includes hypersonic weapons, sophisticated ISR platforms, unmanned systems, and strong C4 I networks that effectively tackle regional challenges related to anti-access and area denial, as well as defense capabilities. So why did Chinese ships attack a U.S. Navy carrier? Because in Beijing's view, showing force is now diplomacy. And in Washington's view, freedom of navigation must not be compromised, even at the risk of war. This is not just a military standoff. It's a clash of ideologies, national pride, and strategic visions for the future of Asia. As the waves settle in the South China Sea, one thing is clear: the next spark could ignite a fire no one can control. If you found this analysis helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to stay updated on global conflicts and military flashpoints. Let us know in the comments. Do you think war between China and the US is inevitable? Or can diplomacy still win? Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay safe.